get it.
Hey. Good morning, peeps. Good morning. Thank you for tuning in to another edition of Real Talk with Carl and Charlene. We kicking off another week, y'all. We're going into the end of May. Yes, holiday season is vastly upon us. We're about to get this first fresh holiday of the, well, not really summer season, but we about to kick it off. So we hope that you guys got your plans in order for this weekend coming up. But before we even get down to the weekend, I can tell you how far along the line I am with my thinking, right? I want to appreciate you guys for tuning in today. Those who's tuning in live, as always, we're a global show. Drop it in the comments where you're tuning in from. Let us know your perspective. Let us know how you feeling. Let us know your thoughts, your comments, or your questions. If you have any, please put them down in the comments. And for those who are going to be tuning in with us, hashtag replay, also drop in where you're tuning in from. Drop your comments in there. Share your perspectives. Share your thoughts. Let us know how you grooving with us as well. We're a global show, so we look back on those comments. We go back through, we answer them. We go back through and we submit them, or either we answer them because we sometimes have a Q&A. So we do them that way. So we make sure that you are heard, that we get your value, and we're giving you the value you deserve. But of course, I don't do this by myself. I also got my hostess with the mostest kicking us off for another week. It's just hard to say, y'all. We about to end the fifth month of the new year 2022. I can just remember when this came in, and we about to flip it halfway through. But I'll do it by myself, y'all. Let me welcome her to the stage. Come on out, Charlene, and join me. What's up?
Good morning. What's up, everybody?
I was gonna say she on
Hello.
the lady. What's going on? What's going on?
Hello.
What's going
Now I
on
was
this
looking
morning?
at the that's why I don't always jump in on the lives on
Yeah.
LinkedIn because it's a delay. So I say, okay, let me stick to the studio.
Oh wow.
Hi.
What's going on today? What's going on? I know my weekend. Well, how was your weekend? Let's start there. We know we gotta cover the weekend. How was your weekend?
The weekend was good. I hung out with some amazing people, of course, my friends. And they went to a church event. It was a mother's board luncheon,
Oh,
bringing in the spring,
that's what
bringing
I'm
it all
talking about.
in. Yeah, I had fun. I got pulled up to be a judge because they had like these tables. It was the first one they did. They had these tables, so I was one of the judges.
Oh Lord, have
Woo!
mercy. They can let you be the judge. Lord have mercy.
It was tough. It was tough, but it was good. It was fun.
Ah, that's good. That's good. That's good. That's good.
Yes. And what about you? How was your weekend?
Weekend was good. Saturday, I just relaxed. I haven't had one of those Saturdays in a while. It was like
Child.
98. It's
Mm-hmm.
like yeah, it was real hot. So I stayed in about, y'all believe it or not, and this is hardly going to shock a lot of people because I am an early bird catch the worm guy. I did not get out the bed Saturday until 11:36.
Don't it
Right?
feel good sometimes?
It felt good. I almost felt like I stole something. You know how you had that feeling like you're in trouble? I was kind of like, I'm still in the bed. It's like after 11, I'm still in the bed. But I did, like, I woke up about 7 something, like to wake up. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh no, I'm just going to turn over. And I turned over. And to my surprise, I went back to sleep. And I just jumped out my sleep and the clock said 11:36. I was like, whoa. But I like that felt good. So I didn't do anything there. We cleaned up the house. I helped the missus out. We did some cleaning out. She
Nice.
always, because I'm always running from that. I'm usually hollering about I got homework or business work. I didn't have anything to do. So she's like, I know you had nothing to do because you slept till 11. So let's go get this dusting in. And I had to do the
Child.
hardwood floor. So we was doing a lot of that. And then we went for a ride. So we just went to you ladies and y'all seafood. We went to
Let
this
me
little
ride.
40. Yeah,
Yeah.
we went on this little 45 minutes on ride to this spot.
Okay.
Her girlfriends told her about had great seafood because I'm not a seafood dude, but they had great seafood. So we went there, had a little trip. So it was one of those things, just enjoying the family kind of thing. I'm starting to really get into that groove for the weekends because Monday through Friday come with so much hecticness and like we really want to. I don't want to get back to that pre-pandemic of just throwing myself into work and throwing myself into school. I want to kind of enjoy some of the family and enjoy some of those nice days. So yeah, so we had a lovely Friday. And of course, Sunday, I spent it with God, me and him on Sundays. That's what we do. And then I just chilled. I just chilled. That's it. Lovely weekend.
Nice.
Lovely
All
weekend.
right, sir. Okay. Well, I'm telling you one thing we definitely want to make sure we get out there is thank you first of all, to everybody who comes through, comes out
Yes.
all the time. We have people coming in, of course, from DC, the metro area,
Whoa.
Houston. You know what? The South always comes through. I'm gonna tell
Yeah,
you.
yeah. We ain't say the dirty South. The South just hold us down. Thank you, Lee
Yes,
Ann. Thank you
yes,
for coming out South, Jennifer. We appreciate you. Sounds like my home
yes.
husband is the early bird. I'm the seafood eater. But definitely, Jennifer, I can't fool with the seafood. I'm sorry. It's just something about that crawly, swimmy, kind of like
See,
crabby on the ocean, kind of like
those are only ocean of the roaches of the ocean, or
yeah, I
whatever they
can't
call it.
fool with it. I can't fool with it. Philly, yes. Philly in the house, yes. New York in the house.
Yes, Philly, New
Yes, I
York. Come
cannot
on
fool with
now,
those
East
people.
Coast.
Yes,
Yes.
East Coast represent. They East Coast say, don't be hollering about no down south. East Coast is in the house.
Like drop, but see, that's my whole thing is we know there's so many people out there from all over, but
Yes,
we need to see y'all drop them in the comments so we
yeah.
know,
Drop
so we
in the
can
comments where
recognize
you
you.
tuning in from, because our overseas peoples they always dropping theirs in and let
Yes,
us know where they
yes,
tuning in
yes.
from. But we appreciate the love that you guys got for us. We appreciate it. We try to we are. I'm not gonna say we trying to go global because we already go global. I had somebody from Germany the other day told me they watched my show when they was eating dinner, so I guess it's on a flip time for them or a little later for them how they watched it. But I was like, oh, we over in Germany. We want Oscar squash. I don't know what that means. I just
I know.
touched
What are you saying? Don't Please do not get us banned off of this show. What are you talking about?
oh, I gotta
But
freshen up on my German.
man, we need those verified before you start spitting it
Yeah,
on the
yeah, yeah.
air.
You got to
Uh
get the
huh.
get the verification in on those. Don't nobody hold me to that. All right.
Oh
Don't nobody hold
Lord.
me
But
to
we definitely want to also give shout out to our friend Martin Pratt.
that.
He
Yes,
has a new book launching called The Black Toolbox. Make sure you head on over to theblacktoolbox.com, grab your copy. He's in pre-launch if I am not mistaken. So make sure that you are a part of that. And it's also going to be autographed. So you want that first copy that's autographed. Hello. You want that
yes,
legit copy.
yes. Because you don't know after a while he's gonna be trying to auction them off. He don't think he's up there. He's gonna be trying to auction off his autograph after a while. But we thank Martin for sending us the info. Always talking about the Black LinkedIn. Always trying to progress the Black people. What we doing, what we're not doing, addressing issues,
What we can
putting
do
out
better.
information,
Hmm.
what we could do better. No, no, he's not this general just standing around holding fists in the air. Like he does the work. He puts the work in. Been doing it for a long time. It hasn't just started over there. He's over there in the Philly area. For those who don't know, and he's holding it down. Holding it down. He got rich history, even in his family, of some of the blackness and things that his family has been a part of through the ages. So he knows his stuff, and he's doing good things. Most definitely. Most definitely.
Yes, I hear my cat is clinking my glasses and about to cause
Yeah,
chaos
he say he
in
want to
the
drink.
kitchen. Oh
He want
Lord.
to
Okay.
drink. Shout out to give me a drink. He thought
So
it was
we
sipping
we're
chat.
Oh my gosh. So we had a guest today, but you know how life is.
Yes,
Last minute, we had to switch it up, but we're still going to talk about the topic and, of course, bring her back on, Miss April Little, to talk
absolutely.
about, being a natural born leader. And we want to ask you guys, do you even believe in the whole point of you can be born a leader, or do you have to be made and shaped into a leader? We have our thoughts on that, but we definitely want to get your ideas on that. So make sure you drop that into the comments. What do you think? Do you feel like you have to be born that way to be a good leader, or can someone make you into a good leader? So let us know what you think. And of course, do you think of yourself as a natural born leader?
Mm, that's some good way to think because when you think about it, a lot of people say that leaders are made. I mean, I know this
Yes.
isn't written. A lot of people have written books about that. And saying that leaders are made, their styles are cultivated. But as we were discussing before the show started, when he was backstage, I always saw leadership even in little children. I used to take my kids to the playground, and when they used to play, how my son used to just like collect people. I don't mean like that, but he used to just gather people up and just have people doing different things on the playground, and that always amazed me, even at that young age, where how he's
Mhm.
formulating this leadership kind of thing going on here, and his persuasiveness of having these kids do what he's saying instead of them enjoying. the playground. And I always thought it was something to that. And I used to tell my wife, I was like, yo, he gonna be a leader one day. She's like, what? Because he told some kid to slide down the board. I was like, no, it's a little bit more than that. I say he's cultivating some of those leadership characteristics right now. He's persuading people to do things that he wants them to do. So a lot of times we think about the leaders and we say, oh, they're made because they study or they get certified in these things, or they they have this body of work, resume style, like of the things that they accomplished and the things that they've done. Everybody right now accomplishes certifications. Everybody right now going to school for something. So like that doesn't differentiate you like it used to, right? Used to be when you have only the leaders would be going to these like camps and webinars and workshops and those kind of things. You would only have those in leadership doing that. Now everyone's doing that. So the way that you differentiate yourself, it's not so much now about how you know, it's what you do with what you know, how you interacted with people. And these are the kind of things that are making you a leader, but that innateness comes from birth. I don't think you can teach that innateness in people. I think you don't, like my grandma used to say, common sense ain't always common. And that thing, I just thought she was riddle me this with that. But I'm noticing as I'm talking to people every day, common sense is not common, because some things that you think people should know, especially in places that they are, either they don't care or they don't know. And I just say they don't know. I don't say people don't care. I don't like to put I don't like to put that on people, but I think they don't care. So I think my own thought, my own perspective is that I think leaders are born. I think they're just born to be leaders. And I do think that you can train. I think there is some training there, but I also think in that training, everyone does not develop into a leader. You develop into a smart, intelligent person. You get some skills to operate, but I don't think that that necessarily puts you over to the leadership board. What you think about
Yeah, I'm loving a lot of the comments, and I agree. I think there's just certain attributes
that? Hmm.
that certain leaders are lacking because
Hmm.
they're leaders in the sense of a title, but
Hmm.
they're not leaders in the sense of it's just something that they're pulled to, and a lot of that is nurturing others, being able to listen and pay attention and see how someone might thrive in an area, and instead of you ignoring that where they're succeeding, you're pulling them into spaces where they're going to fail. And then you also have leaders who are, and I say leaders in the namesake point of it. You have those leaders who are in those positions, but they're just there to see others fail. They because they don't want to move. They don't want to share that space. And when you're doing things like that, you're not allowing others to grow and become leaders of themselves, because you shouldn't be afraid. I remember at a time where leaders were actually cultivating you and they were looking for those mentees to take
Hmm.
over. Now it feels like they don't want to leave. They don't want to groom someone to take over when they leave. They don't want to go. They feel like retirement is something that's bad, or moving on to a different position is something that's bad. They found a place, they're going to stay there until the company closes type of situation. And it's like, well, that's where you become a bottleneck. And that's where you start to discourage others from growing and becoming better leaders. So that's where I get my sense of, you can be born a leader, but then you're always not in a position that you're the best leader. And there's different types of leaders too. There's a leader that you're just there to help transition organization. You're just there to help make sure that the organization can get to the next level. And when your part is done, you need to move forward so
Yes.
someone else can come in and do their part as a different type of a leader. Maybe they're the leader to help cultivate new ideas. They're the leader to help maintain a certain expectation. So a lot of times I think that's another thing that people miss out on. You what type of leader are you? Because a leader does, you're not a be all leader. So what type of leader are you?
Yeah, and I say, and when I talk about the born leaders, I just think about some of the qualities that really comes with that innateness. I put that in the comments as well. about that. But like born leaders and naturally born leaders, to me, they kind of find meaning and purpose in the work they're doing. They're kind of like great listeners, like they're giving the full attention to conversations being had. They're dissecting information that's being, and they're processing it in the overall interactions with the ones that they lead. They don't overwork themselves. They kind of like get the balance of things. They kind of do a little bit of the naturalness, which is the outside of work, the personal activities. They kind of got those going on. There's a nice blend to things in their life. They constantly want to learn new things. I'm learning leaders now just want to learn things to put alphabets behind their name. They're not an ability. I always thought as a leader, and what I went to things and trainings and those things were I went to those to bring back. A lot of leaders are going through, and this is when I'm blanketed. This is just conversational, so I don't even want to take, like I'm taking pot shots because I've been in leadership just about all my career in some form or fashion. So being in leadership, I always went to those trainings, always went to those workshops. I took a lot of notes. I took mental notes. I took things to bring back to the people that I was leading because it was important to me that they were not able to get there. So let's try to implement some of the things I've learned. And what's the greatest way to implement things that you learn? Share the knowledge. And a lot of leaders do not do that. A lot of leaders sit on things. They'll show you 80%, want to keep that 20% so you don't know it, so they can keep their job. These are not leaders to me. You're stunning the growth of those very people that you intend to help grow you. And not only grow you, but grow the company that you guys work for. So the leadership to me is that bornness is that's why I say born, because it's about that selflessness. You can't teach those kind of things to leaders. You can teach them the curriculum. You can teach them the knowledge. You can teach them to have understanding of policies, procedures, manuals, those kind of things. And Andy made a great point in there. He's talking about leadership and management are very different. And they are very different because you have a lot of people, and I call some leaders management. That's really what I call them. I don't know where they switched the name to make it sound pretty, but you got a lot of leaders that they just managers and supervisors. That's really what they are. They are just the head of a group of people, and they just there to kind of say, okay, I'm the manager here. I'm the manager on the floor, or whatever.
And barely that sometimes.
Yeah. You want to question that? You want to erase that off of their
Like
name?
just take them off the board altogether.
Yes, and it's important to me to learn that the self confidence and unite employees. That's a natural thing. It's a natural thing. You can't get people to teach how to unite employees. You can't get it. I don't care. And anybody can disagree with that. With that, see me, call me, catch me outside. You can't. Real leaders unite people together. They unite those that's together. They unite them to a plan, to a purpose. They kind of get them all on the same page of those kind of things. Did my friend freeze or did I freeze? Which one of us froze? But they kind of get us on that semblance. And I like what John said. There's something as a professor learned, and that is when we measure natural capacities, there is no comparison. There's a clearly better skill in some people. Some of us like to do things, but we are not skilled on and need training, but we never even reach the natural capacities of others. This is so true. A lot of times we don't reach those things and we don't have those kind of things in place. But us being born leaders, we're really born with that talent and that innateness that gives us the ability to do those kind of things. And then wondering that and understanding that, we know that natural born leaders are just that. They're born leaders. Born leaders is in programmed in themselves. I agree with that as well, John. I think a lot of the leadership that you see are cultivated by those that definitely motivate people. They inspire people. They unite people. They galvanize people. These are what leaders are. And in the essence of that, I think a lot of great leaders that I've worked for and even myself have been. I haven't always been the smartest, but the what made me a better leader was the recognizing or the acknowledgement of I'm not the smartest in this camp. I'm not the like my grandmother used to say, I'm not the brightest bulb in the socket. But what I am is understanding that I have some people with me with some vast qualities and some essential development that help us grow. And me being a better leader, me being a natural born leader, takes it upon myself to realize I'm not the guy. I am in charge. I am can fortify. I am can galvanize. I can cultivate. I do unite. But there are some skills that I may be lacking that those up under me have. And being a natural born leader is seeing that ability to get them to be involved, to have them have joy in their involvement, to let them have the room to make mistakes in that they do. And I think a lot of that is, they aren't galvanized like that as in the born leadership. So when you think about those things and you think about the leaders of that, I do think that the leaders are born. They're born with the purpose. They have some of the qualities that you need, and there's ways to improve those leadership skills. But I still think on the how you could be a better leader, you can just practice those skills, even in your interactions with the employees that you lead. Your listening abilities. Start listening. Develop some clear vision for the people that you're leading, even the ones that you can actually see that are greater in other opportunities than the opportunities that they're currently doing. See if they're curious about doing more or being better. Those are some of the ways where you can improve your leadership skills. Be mentors to some. Some of them that have been in companies for years, they fall out of the mentorship part of that. They don't understand that being a mentor is a great part of developing leaders. Whether you have to be the born innate ability or whether it's just abilities that you have that you've cultivated through learning, through skills obtained, those kind of things. Be a mentor to those ones. Share the information. You'd be surprised that a lot of leaders, and it's kind of funny to me because I chuckle about it because a lot of I've been in that in a lot of ways, and I'm sure you guys have as well. You've had these leaders that are holding on to this knowledge. They don't want to pass it along. They're fearful of you taking the opportunities. And I fall to this on the culture as well. I fall to this on the culture of understanding that what you learn is supposed to be shareable, and it's supposed to be shareable. When you go to these seminars, when you go to these workshops, when you take these trainings, when you take these classes, how greater is it that you bring that information back and share that information with those that you work with? Let's cultivate systems in place so we can achieve more together. Let's not so worry about whether I'm meeting the numbers, but are we as a team meeting the numbers? Let's start addressing some of the shortfalls that's within the team. Everything is not always, I don't like this person, so if they're failing, oh well. Let's start being leaders together that do the support. Absolutely, Randy. That does the support, that does the encouragement, that directs the common goal, directs us toward the common goals. And these are some of the things that we work on and that we can get involved in. Uh, my buddy said our computer shut down. That's what happened when you plug it up. But that's why I'm the leader, right? I'm the leader. Yes, good leaders, Becca, you're definitely right. Good leaders do energize, and they do they energize you toward the essential goal at hand. And yes, she says she I've worked on a lot of jobs, but I can say I've only had one manager with leadership skills. And this is some of the things that we go to today that create some of our experiences. We don't have the leaders that we think we have. We don't have them for the simple fact we don't see them. We don't see some of the kind of skills or things that we desire to be leading us. We don't see those. And a lot of those things I think are born through the naturalness of being a leader. I think those things are some of the cultivate. The soft skills is what is what I say. My buddy said her computer won't ramp up. Let's get it started. But you know I can flow. Y'all drop it in the comments and tell me how y'all been thinking about leaders and what is a good leader to you. Are leaders naturally born? Are there someone that is born a leader where you see them or you interact with them? You kind of know they're a leader. Are there leaders? Well, I guess you can kind of self answer this. Are there leaders that's not considered leaders in the places of where you work that really are carrying the mantle, that really are have some of the skills necessary to put people together, to have some of the things that's necessary to galvanize and energize? Is there some of those that work behind the scenes that doesn't have leader in their title? Maybe they are the ones that put things together. Maybe they are the ones who create the kind of atmosphere and the culture that benefits those that work with them. Leaders do a lot of these things. And in the essence of that, when we think about the leaders and how they are, It's the humanness of it, right? You hit it right on the head, John. It's the two kinds of humans in these terms: the well trained and the skill born. And a lot of us is that. I take it when I talk about that skill, when we're talking about leaders. I always go to sports. I played basketball and baseball in high school. Played a little bit in college. Of course, I wasn't good enough. So I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today. I look at it and I say Michael Jordan was an idol of mine in the essence of work ethic and his accomplishments. And I always thought about, well, a lot of people, me being from Chicago, we got a lot of background on Michael Jordan as far as who he was and kind of things that he did because we were in the city where he's from. So a lot of people heard other things outside of Chicago, but in Chicago, we kind of got some of those tales about how he was in practices from the reporters, how he was in cultivating his skill, how he didn't rest on his laurels as having this great gift, but he worked at it. He was tenacity about it. And I think about that. And a lot of times as leaders, we don't have those leaders. And this is not all. This is just in the essence of those that we've come across that have failed us as being leaders. We don't have those too much to have that tenacity, that fortitude, that go with all to kind of put us together and say, yo, this is what's it. I'm gonna take this on the shoulder. When the last time you had a leader that said to you, you know what, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna bite the bullet for this. This is my fault. I didn't prepare you guys. I didn't get you guys ready. Coaches say it all the time in sports. I didn't prepare my team. When is the last time you worked with a leader that was your leader and they took on that onus on themselves? They put themselves in the hot seat and they say, yo, I didn't prepare you guys. I didn't get you guys ready. I didn't get you the things you needed. I didn't get you the resources that was necessary. I didn't get you that. That's what it is. Yeah, Shot Town's in the house. Jennifer, we got to hook up, Jennifer. We got a lot of things in common. We got a lot of things in common. Yes, Shot Town, born and bred. It's in my nature. So we was fighters and leaders. So we had to take on those kind of things. I've always put place and blame on things on me when I was in leadership. Though I knew obviously a lot of times it wasn't me. I knew obviously a lot of times it was ones that failed that I gave information to, that I gave assignments to, that I gave workload to. They didn't come through, but I never put them out the pasture. I never said that was so and so fault. I always took the blame for that. Am I a leader that is extraordinary? No, I just think that when you're growing and you cultivating those that you're leading, the passes have to be there and someone has to be there to absorb that. Not everyone can take that. I've seen people get blamed for things and just end up quitting. I think I see people that get blamed for things and they couldn't take the power of that. They couldn't take the weight of that. It was something that was traumatic to those. Those are part of leadership skills that you develop in dealing with people, in cultivating relationships, and understanding who we are. And those are some of the things that made a difference. That is the back of the perfect description of leadership. I'm taking it on the chin. And now, regardless of whether my team can take it or not, the point is that they see me putting myself out there. And in that, I'm building a trust with them. In that, I'm building a relationship with that. And in that, I'm building an understanding to know that I'll go to bat for you. And I will. And I've always have. And I go to bat for people because I think it's a semblance of what we are as leaders to do. It encourages someone to fail and grow. It encourages someone to try and be pushed past boundaries and have a psychological safe space in order to create those for themselves. It gives a person the opportunity to develop and grow. You don't know who's watching you in the midst of you being a leader. You don't know whose life you're either making for the good or you're making for the bad. You don't know with some of the choices and the decisions that you're making, how they're looking at you in response to that. You don't know how they're watching your every move to create how they're going to move, how they're going to operate. And a lot of that stimulates the growth if it's done properly, and a lot of that stunts the growth when it's done improperly. A lot of times you have that in cliques and you have that in different ones that have favorites. I can't stand favorites. I'm just gonna let you know that. I can't stand favorites. I treat everybody the same and I treat everybody the same. I can't have favorites. Do I like different ones that do different things? Absolutely. Absolutely. But when we're in the course of us together cultivating a unity, a fellowship is what I like to call my coworkers. It's a fellowship. These are people that you're spending, and I say 50-50. But if you're in leadership, These are people that you're really cultivating. I can say 70-30 as much as between home life and work life. And if you're there 70% of the time or 70% of your life, would you want that to be a place where there's allowed some growth, where there's allowed some understanding, where there's allowed some patience, some things to kind of work through so people can understand each other, so we can understand the personality traits that we work with? I don't think that a lot of that is being taken in consideration in the places that we work. And I think from all the people that I've talked to, all the people that I've treated, I've trained, I've coached, I've had in seminars, the ones I've talked to, the ones I've even just listened to, they told me that a lot of the culture of the leadership there was ones that they didn't trust, they didn't believe in. And you know what breeds those kind of things? The clicks. You know what kind of breed those? Non-accountability. You know what kind of breed those? The ineffectiveness of leaders being able to understand that these are the people that I'm leading. The non-development of those who are yearning to grow in their particular positions, but they are being held back by, I'll call them the ambassadors, the ones that need to be pulling people forward, but they're obligating and they're becoming obstacles in places of where these people can grow. These are some of the things that I consider as great qualities of that when you're a born leader. How can you spot those things? How can you spot these leaders? And is there really that such thing? Because people say our leaders born or made. That's mostly always in the conversation. And is it a misconception that there's natural born leaders? Can we really just take that out the equation and say, is that a misconception that being in a leadership role with an organization automatically makes someone an effective leader? No, it isn't. It isn't a misconception. Being in the leadership role does not automatically make you that. With that being said, there's some people in this world who, based on just their natural charisma, their go-getter attitude, they can be leaders. And these are the ones that I find are mostly born in that. Can you get and develop those go-getter attitudes? I don't think so. You guys let me know. I don't think you can push and train someone to be a go-getter. I don't think you can. I think you can put positions and opportunities in front of them, and I think maybe they'll decide, maybe they'll move toward, maybe they'll go down the road of. But I don't think that you can. I don't think that you can teach that go-getter attitude. I don't think. I think that's a lot of things what I used to hear before I had this entrepreneurial journey. A lot of people would say, "It's entrepreneur. You got to have that entrepreneurial spirit." What really is the entrepreneurial spirit? What does that look like? What does that mean actually? Is the entrepreneurial spirit something that we have? Is that something that each and every person have? Is that an innate ability that we have to lead? Is that an innate ability for us to be able to go out and do things? Is it that go-getter attitude? Is it that functionality that makes us better than, that puts us in a place of saying, okay, let's do this, let's get it done? That's why I'm a firm believer that there are natural born leaders, and leadership come easy to some people other than others. But even those people that need to fine tune their skills every now and then, in a way, we could say those leaderships, is it a one and done skill? Is it something that people need to learn and constantly work on? So most of the time when you're faced with that, there's always room for growth. When you're looking at these opportunities, when you're looking at these leaders, there's always room for growth. But I think the growth comes with those leader that those leaders that we have visually set on. And everyone looks at leaders differently. If you ask quite a few people, maybe you have a semblance of the same response to some of them, but you can ask a multitude of people and say, what does a leader look like to you? And you may get some of the same responses, or you may get some of the responses that you can connect the dots with. But that's why I like to lead in vulnerability. That's why I talk about vulnerability, because it's the true aspect of what a leader is. It's the true aspect of, can I empathize with what's going on with you? Can I understand that there's some movement going on with you as an individual that may be obstructing, may be preventing, or may be causing you not to be the great person that you could be? Maybe there's a blockage of the potential that you have. And there finds a leader. He understands those things, not necessarily the problem, but he understands that through this individual, I have to work this way. And this is how I can get things done. Through this individual, a pep talk don't get it. Maybe they need a coddle. Maybe they need a around the back. Maybe they need a data boy. Leaders find this out. And these are things or traits that I think that you're born with, that you have the empathy to get. I can't teach you to be empathetic. I know I got my friend Carla in the comments, and she talks a lot about the genetics and the genetic styles and those kind of things. But leaders have to be in that form or fashion, so I say, of not just treating everyone as equals, but you have to identify those that you're leading. And identity come through relationships, and the relationships come through the interactions, and the interactions come through the personal ability of you to find out about. And absolutely, Jennifer, I do a lot of discernment. I don't like, well, I do like to talk about it, but spiritually wise, a lot of our experiences are just that. They're the spiritual experience happening in the natural realm, right? So when we think about those things, discernment is definitely the key. There's an understanding of who I'm dealing with, why I'm dealing with that person that way, what's going on with them. Is there something behind it? Because we all have things that's going on, and we all have things that we're dealing with, and they bring them to work just like you do. They bring those positions, they bring those hurts, they bring those pains, they bring those struggles, they bring them through. And everything is not about let's 100% get the job done today. Some days I came in and I saw people distraught. I saw people with not really into it. I say, you know what? Why don't you take a couple of days off? Or why don't you, take a longer lunch? What's going on? You feel like talking? Leaders have to be in that, but we haven't gained and cultivated that respect and culture where people feel okay with talking to us about things. And this is what's always missing. I can say from my point of view, this is a lot of things that has been missing to me with leaders. And I've tried to be that in leadership. I tried to be that in leadership. I think go getters, let me see what Becca said. I think go getters and natural leaders can lose their drive, give up through excessive life challenges. And for these people can have those natural skills reborn through others, revigorating that in people. I agree with that. The trauma of colorism, for instance, violence and prejudice may be down natural leaders in those communities. Absolutely, because the natural leaders sometimes go through things and they feel things in a different connotation than those leaders that's been taught and trained and developed. We feel things from the heart a lot. I feel things. I've been one to never wear my feelings on my sleeve, but I'm at a point of place of discernment and dealing with people that I know the vulnerability there within me allowed that relationship to cultivate. It allows me to become a better leader. It allows me to be a better listener, taking things in. I think we miss the mark a lot of times in leaders that we don't fall into those patterns of that. And then I think when we're talking about it from the leadership standpoint, I always talk about vulnerability. And when I talk about that, it's because vulnerability has its place in leadership. It leads to that better communication. If you're open and honest and sharing information honest and authentically, a leader sends a strong signal that not is it only acceptable throughout the organization, but it becomes the norm. And when you cultivate that to be the norm, that makes it an important place and makes it good in the business practices. I think we talked about that before. uh that looking at it sometimes lets you be that kind of way. And yes, I had to take me a drink because I'm doing a lot of talking now. But normally I have my co-partner with me, and she's having computer troubles today. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with me today, and I appreciate you guys talking about and understanding what the leadership is and what it is, and drop in the comments what you're thinking about on the leadership. How do you think leadership is developed in the place that you work in? How do you think that where you are, what does that bring about for you? How do you think it plays a part in developing the culture of where you're at? How do you think it's important to that? Because it has its place. It has its place. And even in the DEI part of that, even putting yourself out there, because we do the vulnerability, we put ourselves out there without the expectation of reciprocity. We put ourselves out there not looking for something in return, but we put ourselves out there as leaders to get an understanding of the culture, to get those to have a following, to get those to understand that it's okay to be like that. It's okay to be an example. It makes it positive. It makes it impossible. It makes it possible to be supportive of someone that's different than you. It gives the culture and it gives availability of building trust, building relationships, building your teams, and getting those kind of things together. All of these parts play a big part of leadership and what it is and what it should cultivate. And in doing that, we build a culture that is viable to us growing. We get away from all of the negativeness of what it is like to come to work, what it is like to put our all in companies, what it is like to just give all that we have and not be appreciated or not be valued or not thought about as being an essential part of what goes on here. And a lot of times leaders fail, in essence, to hear those kind of things. There's a disconnect in there from what happens at the higher level to how it trickles down to the lower level. And when you look at it, the lower level is the reason the higher level has a place to come. Tell that to your bosses the next time you go to work, right? I am the reason that your name is on the mantle. Us, the workforce. We're the reason that your name can be shined on as highlights. We're the reason that sales get cultivated through. We're the reason that your culture is taking on new meaning. We're the reasons that there's growth in the business. We're the reasons that we satisfy the clients through service. The workers are the reason of that, not the leaders, and not the leaders. The leaders aren't. The leaders are there to cultivate the workers. And I think sometimes that point is missed. Leadership is there for the employees. Employees are there for the service to customers. This is how this works. So, in essence of that, you have to understand that the leaders are there. And can we have the debate of whether they're naturally born or whether they're trained? We can continue that debate for long and long, for long and long. But we also know that leaders are what they are. And I agree, Shannon. Leadership in the job starts with the leader. If the employee doesn't feel like they can trust the leader, they won't open up. And how many times have you been in those situations where that the leader has not been someone that you can trust? They just haven't. Or maybe you tried to trust them, you told them some things, and you found out that they shared those things. They went behind your back and shared with others. So therefore, there's no trust there. So it's my point that if you're a leader, your first assignment, if you accept the assignment or if you understand the assignment, as the song said, right? Your first assignment is to correlate and kind of cultivate that relationship with those you're leading. How many people do you know that lead and don't know the people that they're leading? I've worked at places when I've asked about certain ones and I've delved into the background of certain ones, not for nosiness, but I delved into those backgrounds because I wanted to know the person with whom I was leading. I didn't want to get a chart with a bunch of names and understand that, oh, okay, Mary's in my group. What is it about Mary? What makes Mary special? What does Mary bring to the table? How can I help Mary grow and develop? How can I push Mary out of the boundaries of which she's been comfortable in to see the potential that may be going on in Mary that others aren't seeing? How can I have Kathy that's in my group? Kathy has never said a word. She comes in, clocks in, sit down, gets her workout, and does that. But does Kathy want more? How do I get to those levels? I get to those levels by building relationships. I get to those levels by asking questions. I get to those levels by having conversations. You don't know the people that you're leading if you're constantly in the office. You're constantly sitting behind your computer. You're not building any relationships, or you're taking it out on them as far as the disgust that you may see or the disdain of things not done, and you barking at people. How many of you guys have had leaders that just bark, right? I think we've all had those. We've all had those. Are they natural born leaders that bark? I would think not. Are they leaders that's developed that bark? You may say so, you may not say so. But I do think in the corpus of leadership, there are places that we need to develop and we need to cultivate those kind of things. And I think one of the hardest things we can do in a personal or professional relationship what is really already hard is to let others see who we really are at our essence. And at the workplace, I think and I believe in my whole heart of hearts that at the workplace we should really be able to be who we are. But to do that, it requires us to be vulnerable. And I know being vulnerable, it can be challenging, especially in the corporate world. In the corporate world, being strong, professional, business like, it's almost expected out of us almost all the time. But any sign of us revealing our more real human side, oftentimes it's considered a weakness or even behavior that's not really suitable in the work environment. But however, it's that very thing that we shy away from that really causes us to connect. And I think, and I know from scientific studies and talking to people and research and delving into case studies and even writing case studies about and having people come back to me and say once they talk about me, the second about that vulnerability piece is missing. And what does that vulnerability piece lead to? It leads to some of our actions and how we interact with each other. It leads to us to be more authentic in the things that we say to each other, the things we mean about each other. And it doesn't necessarily mean we're saying things to hurt each other. It's definitely not the case. It's definitely not the case. We're not saying things to build that place, that kind of culture. When we're being vulnerable, we're inviting those in that don't feel expressive as we may feel. We invite things in to kind of be able to fulfill some of the things that's lacking, where people can be confident about growing in the work environment and not just having a title of the leader, not just having that. Because when you're vulnerable, there's a real possibility you may be ridiculed. You might even be rejected, sometimes humiliated. And I have dealt with it for a long period of time, criticized for even my methods or how they was. But I can say that it has never failed me to the point that I would not continue to try. These possibilities often cause us to keep our guard up when we run through those things, but it takes a strength and it takes a wherewithal and it takes a consistency for us to continue doing those kind of things that will cultivate what we are to be as leader. Vulnerability, it strengthens our relationships. Many of the strongest relationships that I ever had came from embracing the genuine vulnerability in people, understanding, showing empathy, sharing information with the people that I trust, or even lending them that information to be trustworthy, giving them the tools to say, okay, this is an environment where I feel okay to fail. Well, in their failure, there's growth. When there's growth, I'm developing, not only as a person that can do this job, but as a person overall that can interact in situations that I may have failed at before. Given the opportunity with these kind of attributes and characteristics present, people can grow. Leadership can take on a whole new meaning. Vulnerability and leadership. If you ever want to know about it, go to carlshawnwatkins.com. Look it up, check it out. Look at some of my writings and some of my blogs and some of the things that I say about being vulnerable in leadership. Some of the benefits that really outweigh those narratives that you've forgotten about it being a weakness. Now is the time where everybody has jumped on the bandwagon, so to speak. Yes, being vulnerable is great. Being vulnerable is out there. I've said it for 30 plus years now. Being vulnerable is who you truly are, because without the vulnerability, there's no growth in who you are destined to be. Without being vulnerable and obtaining some of that information from others, you can't excel in places where you'll be grateful. Somebody needs what you have. And in the essence of sharing that, I'll continue to say it until the day that I leave this earth. Someone needs what you have. So, in the midst of you holding on that preciousness of what you may think may be something for someone to criticize, maybe something for someone to antagonize you with, in that very essence, there's something in there that someone needs so they can develop and grow, so they can know that they have an opportunity to overcome some of the things that absolutely right, Andy. Transparency. And I think in vulnerability, it causes you to be transparent. If you embrace it, you have an understanding of knowing that, yes, I am the leader, but I cannot lead people if I don't understand people. I think we're going through a lot of that right now I'm not a political guy, but just to touch base on it, we have a lot of leaders that's not understanding the people. They're leading us and they've been assigned to be leaders to us, but they're not understanding us. They're not listening to us. And this is what we fall prey to in our offices. This is what we fall prey to in our corporations. This is what we fall prey to in our teams. There's no understanding of who we truly are because we don't take the time to listen. We don't take the time to understand. And we don't take the time to believe in the value that we have as individuals and what we bring to the table. That's what leadership is. And maybe I'm tooting my own horn, but I've been like that forever. I think the essence of it is understanding who you lead will make you a better leader. Because if you don't understand the people around you, and if you don't understand those that you're leading, how can you understand what it takes to lead them? How can you emotionally, mentally, physically do the things necessary to better them if you're not taking the time to understand them? And in understanding them becomes a development. And in development comes growth. And in growth comes potential. And in potential come results. So we get those things handed to us. And it's only through leadership on these places of employment that we look to help us with those. We come in with a dedication to this place of where we call our work, to this job for which we go in and day out and spend hours and hours there. How do we get better at that? Have the conversations as leaders. Have them with the people. Have them with the people that you lead. Be the compassionate voice. Be the understanding mentor. Look for opportunities to grow people. Look for keys that they show you to where they want to be. Look for opportunities to propel them to places that they haven't been before. Look for safe spaces where they feel okay with messing up and growing as they go along. These are our responsibility as leaders. And until we encompass ourselves with these responsibilities, we'll continue to have the toxicity in workplaces where we continually to regurgitate some of the same lines, the same characteristics, the same cultures, where we'll continue on. Where people are walking away from jobs at a high rate and the unemployment is down and the jobs is high. So I hear they're high for a reason. People don't want to go back to the same kind of thing. People are destined to be greater. And yes, we have to get more honest, Rob. You're definitely right about that. We have to get more honest. We have to tell them what's going on. We have to be compassionate in business. Because business, I think I was told this when I first began my business. You do business with people. All right. You do business with people. Yes, it's the services. Yes, you go to different services. You look them up. You Google them. There's services you need. But there's people that have to provide those services. And if you got to pick between 4 or 5 companies that are offering the services that you need, you're going to pick the company with the people that you resonate with, the people that have shown themselves to be different than. And I've always done that. And I've always done that because I think I was a natural born leader. That's why I say that natural born leader. I know you can develop them as well. And I appreciate all you guys coming by in the comments. I thank you. Charlene thanks you. She had computer malfunction today. I'm glad she wasn't on the award show. And she wouldn't have got an award today. But I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys coming out. I appreciate you guys dropping in the comments. I appreciate you guys hanging in with us. All of you all that have checked in live, continue to support. Go by and check out our LinkedIn page, Real Talk Live Podcast. Go check out our YouTube channel. Subscribe, the Real Talk Live Podcast. Go subscribe. We're also got new guests. I think we opened up another month. Guys, we are booked up to August. I don't even know what we're gonna look like for vacation. I don't even know. Maybe me and Charlene she took a vacation today, so she took one of her what they call it, PO I don't know. I'm not a corporate no more. What they call PTO. She took one of her PTO days today. Her computer told her to take a PTO day. So we had a sickness there. But go join the live. If you didn't see this show, you can always join. She put it up there, the Real Talk Live Podcast.com. Join live. You can always join in. You can always hop into the conversation. Always drop in. We love to see you guys come through. We love to hear from you. We definitely want to give a shout out to our guest who was not able to join today, but we had a great time. Anyway, you guys showed up like like stormtroopers as always. You always came in and gave us those. Thanks, Becca. I appreciate you guys for coming by. Jennifer, we're going to have to chat. Jennifer, we had a lot of things that we talked about in common. Carmen, always. Russ, we appreciate you. Fern, we appreciate you tuning in, chiming in. Shannon as well. We love you guys. Yes, Charlene got that Brooklyn Wi-Fi. Thanks, Rob. It ain't New Jersey no more. It's that Brooklyn Wi-Fi. Yeah, put it up there. Put it up there in the shots. It's that that Wi-Fi. Rob threw me off with that one. But we appreciate you guys coming. We know the love. We appreciate the love. Come and tune in with us for another fly edition of Real Talk with Carl and Charlene on Thursday, where we have another amazing guest, where we'll be doing some more, giving out some more value. I want you guys to stay tuned. Also, check us out on Fridays at 9. We got our credible vulnerability moments. We'll be in and out the month of May. We're going to have a great discussion, and we're going to be talking about practicing that cultural video, that cultural vulnerability, and how we're going to be practicing that, the cultural part of that, how we can incorporate that into everyday action in the culture that we're in, where we won't have to be a leader to do this. We can do this in the very circle that we create every time we come into the workplace. If we start doing this, maybe then we can have others join in, and we can have a semblance of a culture that has been building and surfacing the vulnerability and stuff, giving us an opportunity to be who we are. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we appreciate you, and we love you, and we look to see you guys on next week. On Thursday. Come back Thursday. We'll be back Thursday. We appreciate you guys. Deuces.
Talk with Carl and Charlene. Real talk for the real world. Let's get it. Real talk with Carl and Charlene. Real talk for the real world. Let's get it.